So you talk about taking accountability. I took a lot of accountability for just even what led up to us getting married and all of the things that I ignored. And then when you realize the things that you've ignored, you have to ask yourself, well, why did I ignore those things? What did I think about myself back then? I don't think anybody really talks about the lack of trust that you feel after a divorce. And it's trust you trusting yourself. It could be trusting other people, but for me, it was trusting myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for sharing, sweetie.
Have I not told you about this?
No, you haven't.
I probably just wrote it in my journal when I talked
Okay,
about
so let's talk about forgiving yourself. Just because Elizabeth said she took a while to forgive herself. So let's just go into doing that. Forgiving yourself is often harder than forgiving others.
It is. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is harder.
You want to start that over?
Yes.
Okay.
Many people find that forgiving themselves is actually harder than forgiving others. When someone else hurts you or hurts us, we can choose whether we can let go of their offense, right? But when when we hurt ourselves or hurt others, we live inside of that memory every day. Does that make sense?
It does.
That makes sense.
Well, it goes back to what I said, where it's like the past only exists in your mind.
Right. And we can't escape ourselves.
Yeah, we can't escape ourselves. You can get away physically from other people. You can block people, cut them off, whatever it is, but you can't ever get away from yourself.
That's right. That's right.
And then you're often met with a lot of difficult questions when that comes up. So I understand that.
Yes, yes. You might forgive a friend, like I say, for a mistake, but when it comes to your own failures, you replay that sometimes. You just it goes over and over like a movie in your mind. Mm-hmm. So we have to stop it.
I think it also comes down to, I hold myself to a higher standard.
That's exactly That's exactly right.
Other people.
Right.
And this is my, getting over perfectionism, mindset. But I expect other people to not be the best or to let me down or whatever it is. I don't say that to sound crass or I don't know. I don't say that to be negative. I just say it to say, I understand that people are flawed, but for some reason, when it comes to me, it's no, we set this plan, we're going to do this, and it's going to happen, and everything's going to go great, and you're going to do exactly, this is going to work out this way, and you have that whole, just path, because that's, you remember we were talking about strengths being weaknesses?
Yeah.
This is something that I do in business, is I do a lot of strategy, so I take a whole bunch of different pieces from everywhere, and then I formulate them into a strategy that we can now walk down this path and take something from idea to execution. But you can't do that with people. You can't do that with your life. And I think that's why, for me, I struggle with that, because, again, I'm well, this is what we said we're going to do. This is how we saw this going in our mind. And when that doesn't happen, I feel like it's because I didn't work hard enough, or there's something I could have done differently. And I think that's where that struggle with self-forgiveness comes in.
Yeah, I can see that.
I totally understand that. And the expression that you and I talk about often is that weaknesses hide in the shadows of our strength. So something that is a strength for you, the fact that you are a hard worker.
You have laser focused listening. You have laser focus. I would say that's an example.
I am laser focused. So that's, for the most part, a strength, but it can become a weakness when I don't pause my laser focus to devote my focus to something else that may need my attention at the moment.
Yeah.
So anyway, the point being that weaknesses hide in the shadows of our strength. Back to the whole point.
So let's talk about some practical reframes for forgiving yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, are we finished talking about the struggle? Because I feel like Elizabeth told her inability to forgive herself. I never got to tell my story.
You have a story. You said you don't struggle. You did say that's the one thing you said you do struggle with.
So I'm about to share something never before shared publicly.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Wow, this is. But you told your little story.
Let's talk about forgiving yourself. Get going.
But hey, everything that goes on here, I say I.
Okay.
And here's what I mean. In this relationship, in this marriage, in this family, as the leader of this family, when things go wrong, I take the approach, it's my fault/responsibility, no matter how we got here. So we made a decision that rather than relocate some years ago, I was going to leave the job I had. I'd been there for maybe 20 years, and it was an amazing opportunity, kind of blending being self-employed with working for somebody. It was an amazing opportunity, a high income position. We talked about it and made the decision that we were going to leave rather than move. We took our life savings at the time and opened a real estate investment business. Our first purchase, we bought the 70 houses. And from the next 7 years, we bought and sold some 400 houses. Grew it from just the two of us to 20 full-time employees. And then we lost everything. So when in the way we had it structured, I filed bankruptcy, you didn't. But so that was 2009.
Mm-hmm.
I think about that almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
Have I told you this?
No, I didn't know you thought about it every day.
I think about it
you
every day.
had released it.
And I'll tell you something funny, that when I think I have gotten over it,
Mm-hmm.
I can be watching a show, and on the show somebody is evicted from their home, or somebody has a car repossessed, or somebody has something that triggers that memory,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes me cry.
Really?
It makes me cry. So the pain from that mistake is still there, even though when I say we moved on, I mean physically we've moved like 1,000 miles. We
Yeah.
have moved on physically, but emotionally, I have never let that go.
Okay.
I feel like it was my responsibility. I let us down. And I've even had friends who were in the business at the same time say to me, and I'll tell you how deep this was. A person said to me once, Jim, practically the entire real estate market crumbled.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, billion-dollar corporations went under, right? The whole industry was changed. And when that person said that, it never crossed my mind that a real estate crisis took place.
That's exactly what happened.
Dad, what do you mean? You know it happened.
Well,
you know that's what was going on.
No, I don't know. Well, I know, like big picture, no.
Knowledge. Okay.
But in terms of knowing, no.
Internaling
I
it.
never said to myself, hey, Jim, that's my name. Hey, Jim, you know that a whole industry kind of like crashed, and maybe that had something to do with your situation? That never crossed my mind. You know why? Because this is on me.
You felt like there was something you should have seen or could have done or could have changed so that we weren't affected.
Yeah. I mean, because it cost us everything. We lost our home. We had cars we possessed. We sold family heirlooms that to this day cannot be replaced.
Right. You did.
You had just started college.
No, it was before.
It was before you started.
This was in high school. Because
I now remember, because it led to conversations like, how am I going to pay for college?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was early in high school, and I think, are we saying the other kids' names on here?
No, we don't need to say that.
My older brother, not the oldest, but the one who's like a year and a half older than me. Because we're trying to respect their privacy. They're not camera people like us. So I remember like the experience, and we've talked about this, me and my almost not twin, but almost older brother. We've talked about how our high school experience was very different from our oldest siblings, who are twins, and they're 5.5 years older than me, or 6.5 years older than me, 5.5 years older than him. And we talked about how, they had, I think y'all had like a banquet-esque thing at the house where all their friends came for prom. They had a car, like they had like this kind of almost like movie high school experience Whereas, I had to get a job and I was
I
driving.
mean, you got to get a job? You're welcome.
At the time, I had to get a job, and I also was driving like a 98 black Jetta that was like kind of broken down. And I had friends who had just gotten like Mercedes and new Hondas.
Like, deal with my inability to forgive myself. Man, you're no therapist, that's for sure.
Okay. Go ahead.
The point I'm making by telling this story is, and this isn't on you, but
Everything's on me.